when we do this podcast, we get the analytics as to who our audience is. And, for our podcast, our main audience is 35 to 49.
Yeah.
69% male, 29% female, and 2% non-binaries. That's who listens to our podcast. Do you get any analytics? Is trans people watching trans porn, or do you find that is it women? Who is it that watches and buys the trans porn?
It is.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to part 5.
We are here.
I'm Jim.
I'm Steve.
And we are going to slide right into part 5.
We're going to slide into those DMs and get right back into it.
My face should have been taken care of 8 years ago, and I'm still numb. My whole chin is still numb.
Really?
So it's that fresh of a surgery. It's only like 2 months old.
Mm-hmm.
So
oh, wow.
I missed my window to be the one. Aubrey Kate became the
starlet.
One.
Is that what
she had her surgeries early, and if you Google Aubrey Kate, you'll see a gorgeous fucking trans girl. Like she lives like wherever the fuck she wants to live. She's always in Milan and London, and she's just, she's fucking Aubrey Kate. She was the first ever trans porn star to get a contract with Evil Angel.
Okay.
So she's won a handful of awards. She's definitely been around. We were sitting next to each other at the beginning. Now, I don't have the personality for it the way that Aubrey does. I mean, when she's up on stage dancing at like a strip event, like she kills it. Like she made me drop my sentence one time in Vegas. We were doing a tranny strip, and I happened to look. I was talking to somebody. I look over and I was just like. And Steven's standing over just showering her with 50s. And I was like, look at the way she's fucking moving. I was like, I can't move like that. Jesus Christ. So, that's been one of the hardest parts of like my whole transition is undoing what was put there and what had been established, So there's a wide spectrum of us. Some people, I feel, have the right to speak for the community, and other people's don't. I don't really feel like I have the right to speak for the community. I speak for my own little world. When I'm left to my own devices, my own little world's pretty damn cool. But as soon as I start involving other people from my trans community in my little world, shit falls apart.
Like you don't want to be the voice of a generation kind of thing. You want to be your own. When
I was first in the industry, like, oh, Micha, you got to tone it back. You can't always have an answer for everything. Nobody wants a smart porn star. You have to be a party girl. Well, I did that for a while until I got what I wanted out of the industry. Now I don't give a fuck. So I went back to being just me. But I'm stopped, whatever. Fuck it. I do have an answer for everything. I got 3 fucking degrees and a captain's license. You want to ask me a question, I probably have an answer for it. So I got really tired of the charade.
How long were you making movies?
I'm still involved. I haven't shot now for 3 years, so.
Have you produced for other people?
Yeah, and I still have that capacity. Like Micha Angela Productions is still here. I've had a couple of really bad experiences with some trans models that, because I deal with younger models who are aspiring and trying to get into the industry, I'm dealing with people who are in that 6 to 18 month window, mostly.
Oh, okay. So the hormones are.
It's terra infirma. It's crazy. It's psycho. I don't need that shit in my life. It made money at the time, and it can make money. Like if I wanted to like cam and get on Chatterbait and be all like and go exploit, go whore myself out to the camera, I could. The followers would show up, they'd throw coins at the screen, and I'd probably make a couple of bucks doing it. But I don't feel it anymore.
Yeah.
I've had conflicting experiences that have taught me conflicting lessons, and I'm not moving. I've had my name dragged through the mud for having put models in a rapey situation when I had the 16th floor fucking penthouse at the Mondrian in South Beach, and it was an open bar white party on the rooftop for fucking XBiz, Yeah, it's a porn convention. There's an open bar. I was fucking this DMCA agent guy, and we were finishing up in a fucking room, and my fucking girls came back in the room, and they were drunk, and Alex, the DMCA agent guy, was all like, oh, well, he starts looking at Ricky's ass, and I was like, well, that's a good ass, isn't it? So she starts playing into it, pulls her pants down, and he swoops right in and starts eating her ass. I'm like, oh, that's a no-no, but I'm like, are you okay with this, Ricky? Ricky's all playing into it like it's all good, and the next thing I know, a week later on Twitter, I'm getting rolled through the mud. Oh, fucking Micah puts her models in rapey situations. Okay,
wow.
That's cool. I'll never do that again. So fast forward a few years. We were on a cross-country trip. I had this model fly out from Palm Springs, met me at BWI. We were heading back to California with a stop in Lexington, Kentucky, at the Kentucky Tea Party, which is a strip club event held on the second and the first and third Friday of every month at French Connections in Lexington. It's the only VIP strip club, trans-specific VIP strip club event in the country. Actually, I can't say that in the country. There's new ones. There's another one in Chicago. Now there's one in Atlanta. But Kentucky Tea Party was the original. That was a shameless plug, by the way.
No, feel free.
So then we were going to stop in Denver to console a girl whose brother had just committed suicide. Because I have a brother who committed suicide, and I didn't want this trans girl to have to go through what I went through, because I was pretty much alone when I had to go through that shit. And it was post my year when I was pretty much active, so I was kind of on a bender during the whole time that... Anyway, so I didn't want her to have to go through what I had to go through, so I was stopping in Denver to be a shoulder for this girl. Well, the girl that I had fly out from Palm Springs, she had a whole different plan for Denver. And she was forcing herself on the girl who we were there to console. Oh, and that girl had multiple times said no. She had absolutely expressed her boundaries, and she was now putting me in a liability situation. So, okay, I learned this lesson before, and I got blamed for putting my models in a rapey situation. Well, this isn't even one of my models, but so I had to step in. And when I did, this bitch had been drinking, and she was 38 days post facial surgery at that time, so she was still healing. She was where I am kind of now.
Yeah.
She started hitting me hard, and there wasn't a fucking thing I could do about it. I had my cats. I had my computers. I was moving all the last of my stuff from the East Coast to the West Coast. So had I hit her back, she would have needed medical attention because she just had facial surgery. Yeah. So she would have wound up in the emergency room, which would have then meant that I would have caught an assault charge in Aurora, Colorado, which means my cats would have gone to the Humane Society, my truck, my trailer, who the hell knows what. So I had to sit on the bed and let this crazy bitch fucking wail on me. I don't know where I drew the power to just sit there and let somebody beat the living fuck. She broke my jaw. She fucking split my lip. She blackened both my eyes. She broke an ear and my fucking bone in my ear. She fucked me all up, but I didn't do anything. I just let her do it. I finally did have to fucking throw her in a headlock and put her on the ground and to be like, stop, we're going to do this like adults. But then even after that, she was fucking crazy. She fucking threw an empty wine bottle at me. That thing went right through the sheetrock, destroyed the Hyatt room. We were in a Hyatt across from the Children's Hospital in Aurora, Colorado. Fucking wine bottle went right through the sheetrock. It looked like modern art. It was actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
I should take a picture of it. $1,300 security, and then she lit up a fucking cigarette right in the hotel room. So I don't trust trans bitches at all. I'm not working with them anymore. I'm not putting myself out there. I'm not running. I'm not doing what I'm capable of doing to build a model.
When you decide that you're going to do that, you just it's kind of the same way you were found. You'll see stills and then get in contact with them or other things and then say, hey, I want to work with you.
That's kind of how it worked. after that assault thing, because there's so many weird stories that have floated about that, and it's not like we have a governing body, so it's not like, I sent that video I actually caught that whole thing on video, so I was able to send it to Steven, and I had her banned from the T Awards there in Hollywood, which I hated to do. But there's no place for violence, and especially in porn. Jesus Christ, you can't. No. Talk about a hard no. So that had to happen. So, but at the same point in time, while it didn't ban me, it basically turned me off. I'm done. I have nothing. I'll contribute wisdom. I'll help younger models out. I've had a handful come at me the past couple of years that I've let slip through my fingers, somewhat totally on purpose. Even though I'm like, damn, if I'd have worked with them all, I could have put 5 more on the roster here in the past couple of years, but I don't want the drama in my life.
She has an altercation with you in Denver. After everything's like calmed down, are you like, well, now you're on your own. You can go fucking get yourself back to Baltimore. Fuck you.
I fucking rolled out.
Yeah, I don't fucking blame you.
I drove up Route 25 with a fucking bloody face and a big old fat lips. Couldn't believe what had just happened. It was snowing. It was 4/20. Yeah. It was April 20th, and it was snowing in Denver. I was hell-bent to get back to Tahoe, and it still took me 2 days.
From the drama that you have to deal with that turned you off, were you directing movies as well?
I had a photographer in LA that would do the raw footage, and then they would send the raw footage up to me here in Tahoe, where I would edit it and then produce it and publish it.
So when you mean raw footage, it's just like the banging?
Like when we get done recording, pre-editing.
Yeah, I guess.
It's just everything that was gathered. When we do this podcast, we get the analytics as to who our audience is. And, for our podcast, our main audience is 35 to 49.
Yeah.
69% male, 30 or 29% female, and 2% non-binaries. That's who listens to our podcast. Do you get any analytics? Is trans people watching trans porn, or do you find that is it women? Who is it that watches and buys the trans porn?
It is straight men from the deep south.
God, I knew that was going to be the fucking answer.
That is awesome.
When you make movies, do you cater to that, or you're like, we're meeting at a barbecue joint,
like a Dukes of Hazzard style,
like a Dukes, yeah,
yeah, and to a point. But there's also Hollywood, and being a redneck in Hollywood is a no-no.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Being like anything that has anything to do with Southern, or not even Southern, just not city culture, like living in the woods, cutting your own firewood, hunting a deer. Oh my God, you do that? You have to eat vegan if you live in Hollywood. You're going to put pine nuts in your salad.
Was that a weird transition for you, like growing up, like hunting and fishing and being a real outdoorsy person, and then going to LA where you're vegan?
It was very, very difficult. Not so much like I couldn't get down with what was happening in LA. It's just a city. It's a crazy city.
Yeah.
But when it came to little things like walking outside at night, like I always wake up at 2:30 or 3 in the morning, right? That's just my routine. I walk outside and I look at the stars. Well, you don't see any stars down there.
Oh, because of the light,
light pollution.
Light pollution? Yeah.
I befriended an opossum that lived in my backyard when I was down in LA. It's like most people are going to be like, oh God, it's an opossum, kill it. It was my buddy. I named it Perez. Possum Perez. He was awesome. He was a cool little thing. He came out and he hung out with me. Yeah, it's entirely, and like fishing, like I still fish, and I fill my freezers with those tuna, and it's a big part of my yearly traditional, like it's my little tradition every year. I fill my freezers as best I can in the summer so that I got fish through the year. I don't have anybody to do it with. I've asked everybody. I've invited like one of my boyfriend guy that I was hooked up with. He's a producer for Netflix. He's a guy named Greg Simon. House MD. He was part of that whole production crew. Mm-hmm. He's big Netflix guy. Lives on the 10th floor there in Hollywood and Vine, like overlooking Holly. It's a completely different life. And when he sees what I do, he's like, Micah, he's like, what you do is amazing. He's like, what you do is, he's like, and I'm looking at him, I'm like, dude, you're a guy.
yeah.
You should be able to do this too. Yeah. I mean, so I have a very, because of that perspective from being raised that way and just being around it, it's like, I thought all men did that. But Greg drives a fucking little BMW and doesn't know what to do outside of the city.
Yeah, doesn't know how to change a tire.
I mean, he's brilliant. He doesn't know. I mean, I would hope he did and would. Flipper, that guy. Taking fishing and hunting for granted. And then folks, in the LA world being like, oh, but the poor animal, I mean, there's some validity out to that. And coming back up here to Tahoe, which is like, Tahoe is a lumberjacks and skiers and conservative people with a whole lot of money and a Trump flag. That's what Tahoe is.
Yeah.
I love it here. I'm home here. This is my home. But the politics, like, this is one of the counties in California that goes red, every year, and this is not a liberal county.
Do you find you are accepted just as well in Tahoe?
No, the whole, California, there's a conception about California. I'll try to dispel this right now. I have had to fight to be accepted here in Tahoe. I've been here since 2015. I've made myself a part of the community. Mm-hmm. In the state of California's got this image, this peace, love, hippie, granola, fruit, nuts, LGBT, like all the gay rights, trans rights, and that's what's happening in California. That makes up about 5% of the state, and those bubbles are in San Francisco and West Hollywood, North Hollywood. You get outside of those bubbles, California is a scary fucking place. It is the wild fucking West. And the rednecks out here are nothing like the rednecks that we have on the East Coast. And people think nothing of disposing of a body. And there's so much space out here that it's not that hard. It's a dangerous place.
Well, I think that is a fantastic spot to stop. This is the how do you say that?
I have no idea what you're trying to say.
Penultimate episode of our miniseries.
Is that a real word? My cheeks are numb.
Yeah,
I don't even know what to say.
It is the second to last part of our miniseries. I wanted so bad to try to use some kind of word that I don't use all the time, and it just fucking fell.
Well, you were successful in that. Join us in 2 days for our finale. I'm almost spent. So for Inappropriate, I am Jim.
And I am Steve.